Well, my name is Kyle Neuendorf. I'm the naturalist for Boone County Conservation. And my project today is mainly the idea of the Erickson Library Pollinator Garden partnership that I've assisted with this past summer that I'm hoping that maybe you guys can kind of assist us with on some projects that I have ideas for, because the idea of this whole project was to get into the Boone community, try to get some younger kids throughout the schools to maybe come help and assist and maybe learn a little bit more about their natural world and what they can find within Iowa and what used to be here a long time ago. And by doing so, it kind of helps with science-based learning and also assists schools with their curriculum. So, if you haven't heard of us, obviously Boone County Conservation, we're one of 99 counties in the state. So every county has a county conservation board. Now in the 90s we used to be DNR, we're not DNR no longer. We do manage DNR properties that they own, but not everybody has DNR properties. Sometimes we own our own, so we have a few that we do own. Ecosystems, we have tallgrass prairies, we do have a sand prairie, which is over off Old Highway 30 at J. Carlson. We have oak savannas, riparian forest, which is clearly over by the High Trestle Trail. And if you're interested, you can look us up on boonecounty.iowa.gov conservation or check us out on our Facebook page. Let's get moving on. So the Erickson Public Library Garden Project. So obviously you guys just talked to Zach, the librarian there. He's in the children's department. Me and him partnered up wanting, like I said, to try and inspire younger kids to come to the library. There were some gardens over there that were not well maintained. He approached me about this project and we got some STEM funding for that. This was back in June of 2023, so you can kind of see the participants here. The garden was designed, like I said, connecting local schools, and the main other objective is to help some pollinators as well within the Boone area. Who is this benefiting? Erickson Public Library engages local community schools, increases the number of people visiting the library, and engages, maybe some local volunteers or young volunteers who want to come out and help. Also providing some beautiful scenery throughout the city or town. For us, it's strengthening our outreach to the Boone community. At the same time, helps meet goals of education and county youth, helping educational partners, and providing habitat resource to pollinators. Youth of Boone experiences plant science, Iowa's natural heritage, teaches responsibility, provides physical activity and mental stimulus, gives them something to connect with. So that's kind of what I'm here today for, is hoping that'll help provide something for you all to be able to use this as a resource. So here's what those had looked like in March. So as you can see, very uncontrolled, not very well maintained. The person who was taking care of it was a little bit elderly and could not physically do this anymore, which is why Zach came to me thinking of a good project to do. And this is what it looked like after we went through and demolished it all. So we flattened it all out. The same soil is still there. Our only debate was how much was that going to cost. We wanted to just get this, hit the ground running, so I went through and tried to take care of it the best I could, but that doesn't mean we got it all. Some stuff still floats around in air, that kind of stuff. But this was the night, I believe we did this sometime around June 20th of this past summer. But as you can see, this was the day that we were going to go out and plant them. And most of these plants were all local plants, Iowa native prairie plants. So most of these came from a nursery from Winterset, Iowa. As you can see, some of our participants were walking to that area because I did a story time about prairies, and the activity was planting some prairie plants. So that's what the kids got to do. This was the aftermath afterwards. So as you can see, we planted about 76 plants. Doesn't mean they're all going to make it. These are perennials. If you don't know what a perennial is, that's a plant that comes back every single year, so you don't have to keep replanting it, but that doesn't mean that one of these plants won't make it over time. Then obviously the participants that assisted, we had more than this, but these were the ones that stuck around the longest. They were the harder workers of the evening. And this is what it currently looks like now. So kind of a big difference, right? So by doing so, we're hoping that this can continue throughout schools, throughout Boone, and we're going to try and get in touch with the teachers more to work on this kind of stuff, but this is just the start of something great that I hope will continue throughout Boone. And the reason why I'm wanting Edge to help is because I heard that you guys are pretty good with certain little projects, and I think this will be a little bit closer to my last project. Last year we had it over at Don Williams, so hopefully this will make things a little easier for traveling and stuff. So some of the ideas I had, creative ways to inform the public about this garden. So maybe brochures, posters, maybe like informational, educational signs that maybe engage like, hey, this is the reason for this. This is the reason why the Erickson Library and Boone County Conservation want to partner on this. And maybe even social media videos, like something we put on Facebook or maybe the Erickson Library YouTube channel. Something that just kind of inspires people to learn more about it than just walking by and be like, whatever, it's garden. Gives them something to learn a little bit more about. So I'm hoping by pushing some of that towards you guys, it makes you a little bit more creative artistically, but also in a way too to maybe think of ways to engage the community. And then kind of a side one too, if people aren't interested in that sort of stuff, I would like to somehow do like maybe a little pollinator crew, maybe the spring and the summer. Anybody who's interested in natural resources, maybe botany, maybe even biology might be interested in maybe helping to maintain the garden, maybe helping to assist in educational opportunities with programs, whether it's seed collecting, talking about pollinators, maybe planting more plants. And a big one that I've noticed with some of the volunteers we do have is trying to make like a plant ID list or maybe like a guide, like a 3-ring binder guide to help determine for them like, oh, what should I be caring for and what should be getting out of the gardens as well. So with those creative ways, obviously like brochures, posters, it's an informative tool that will help educate librarian visitors. Explains the goals of creating a space for the youth of the community, assisting schools as a service for science-based curriculum, and providing a native pollinator corridor in the town. So being able to get that information to people, even if somebody's not there at the garden to explain it. Also could be a public signage and educational signage, a way to educate and inform visitors of a significant person, place, or a thing is the main definition for that sort of idea. But having those signs, like I said, explain the goals, the purposes, explain Iowa's natural history of prairies, and beneficial to the garden for pollinators and people that visit it. And these are just some examples of some. I don't know if I'll do ones this big, but anywhere you've been to a park, you've gone, you're like, well, I'd like to learn more about this, but I don't have a guide. But that's the reason why when they put signs out, that's kind of your little kind of side guide of, hey, this is kind of what this area is. This is what it's talking about. This is the meaning of it. So kind of something similar to this, but maybe not quite as big, but enough to where it's to the point of, that thank you for coming to the Erickson Library Garden. The reason why we're doing this is for the youth of, Boone community kids and, talking about ecosystems and why there's prairie plants here and who they're helping. So at least that's the idea. Then obviously social media visuals. Could be different ways to connect, whether that's coming up maybe templates or covers for like our Facebook pages, maybe making like a video to put up there saying like, hey, come follow me to the garden. We're going to talk about this garden in particular, and then maybe assisting in creating informative videos about like maybe the seed collection, or maybe we're talking about that particular plant, or maybe we're talking about pollinators that are coming in and out, maybe certain things like that, or even following maybe like the eyes of a youth going in and looking at the garden, something like that. For the crew, nothing too specific, maybe just something to help us assist with obviously controlling of the weeds, which isn't really too hard, but I've been managing it at the moment. I don't know how in my time, but I've been doing it. But watering usually is automatic, but sometimes there might be some self-watering that maybe a particular plant didn't get enough water. Self-explanatory of like a botany or gardener person. So if you're interested in college and going to botany, this is a lot of things you're going to have to learn. The nitty-gritty of learning about how to take care of a greenhouse or how to take care of maybe landscapes or just random things like that. Planting new plants, with youth. Like I said, we try to do our best to maybe try and get kids to come out. We might do another day this spring to have more kids come out and plant more, because there's still little windows that you saw from that last photo of the aftermath of what we did plant. And like I said, not all of them made it, so we're hoping to continue to plant in there until, I wouldn't say no space is left, but until there's a good amount in there that's going to become something successful and will stay for a while. Assisting in creating new improvements, so like I said, maybe like the signs, or maybe there's some creative artistic thing we could put in there, like a sculpture, or something in general that just kind of improves the area and kind of draws eyes for some people to come visit it. As for the plant guide itself, so if you've gotten into the field like I have, especially when it comes to like wildlife biology, anything natural resourcey, sometimes down the road you might find like field guides to help assist you in learning about different species of organisms. And something like this, I'm hoping I could use for any volunteers, whether it's youth or maybe like master gardeners or people in town that would like to use this. So the guide in itself is supposed to help determine what is native versus non-native. Obviously native stuff is what we're wanting in the garden, but non-native is invasive things, you know, get out of here, we don't want you. Things that just kind of came in here that were not originally, you know, planted. And some that's from the previous planting that was in there that we had removed. And sometimes that confuses people. I've had some volunteers that have come up to me this past year saying, hey, I haven't been doing as thorough of a job. It's because I'm a little worried because I think I'm pulling out the native stuff. So having that guide kind of differentiates of, you know, what to keep, what not to keep. And I'm hoping that by creating that, that'll kind of help a little bit too. So that might include, you know, like a seedling to adult life cycle, from native to non-native, as well recorded if we had planted it or not. The time it blooms and ways to remove it are kind of the main ideas for that guide. That's about all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
For both, like for each project, how often would you want to check in with us?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I guess that depends upon how much time, I guess, allows for what you want to complete. I mean, we could do every other week or maybe once a month. I guess it just depends upon how difficult the process would be, but at the same time, how far we would want to talk about the idea of one of these. Like the video, that might take a little longer, but like a plant guide, that might take a little longer. But the brochures and maybe like the templates for Facebook, that might not take as long as what we think. So I guess it just depends upon the level of difficulty for that specific project. Yes?
When do you want, like for both of them, when do you want them done by?
I would hope maybe around like summer-ish, somewhere around there next summer. If we need to, if you would prefer, say like the plant guide, if you're wanting to take photos of the plants and their life cycles, obviously that one could be extended to fall, because you never know about plants. Like you might just have to find one and, you know, watch it for a period of time. So that one might be a little bit different. But as for like the Facebook and the videos and stuff like that, that could be done pretty easily, or it might take a little longer, because video stuff sometimes a little bit complex about how you, like the stuff that you want to talk about, the practice of it, and duration of when it can be completed. So, any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
What do you guys say?